السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسولك الكريم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to re-enter our classroom virtual as it is with the ayah number 58 and 59 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Inshallah, we are going to begin with a short summary to bring us back into the context of this ayah and then discuss the ayah itself. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ قلنا ادخلوا هذه القرية فكلوا منها حيث شئتم رغدا وادخلوا الباب سجدا وقولوا حتة نغفر لكم خطاياكم وسنزيد المحسنين فبدل الذين ظلموا قولا غير الذي قيل لهم فأنزلنا على الذين ظلموا رجزا من السماء بما كانوا يفسقون. A literal rendering is that وَإِذْ قُلْنَا ادْخُلُوا هَذِهِ الْقَرْيَةَ, when we said to them, enter this Qarya. Qarya is a town for now, and we'll open it later. فَكُلُوا مِنْهَا حَيْثُ شِئْتُمْ, and eat from wherever you wish, رَغَدًا, without any hindrance. وَادْخُلُوا الْبَابَ سُجَّدًا, and enter the gate or the door Sujjadan. Again, we will explain this later, but for now, it's from sajada, it's from prostration. Wakulu hittatun, and say hitta, and then we shall forgive your sin, and we will increase the reward of the muhsinin. And those who had done zulm on themselves, they changed the qawl with another saying. They changed what was told to them with something else. Then we sent down ridges from the sky because bima kanu yafsukun, because of their fasak. Obviously, there are several Quranic terms here which need explanation. Several words are difficult to translate in any language. But let's just recap. Let's go back to the context. You will recall that this section of Surah Al-Baqarah, which started with reminding the children of Israel of the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had on them. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. And these blessings, you would note, are also along with their fasad. It's a charge sheet and blessings together. So these are the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had on them, and these are the transgressions that they did. And this section then goes to, there are other things in it as well, but mostly this is the section in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds the children of Israel. And because the Quran, this surah is being revealed in Medina, it has a dual purpose of reminding the Jews of Medina as well as the entire history of the Jews is in it. So it is not that the section is only relevant and related to the time of its revelation. It is related to history of the Jews. It is related to the history of human beings, and it is related to all the themes of the Quran. And it began with ayah number 40. Ya Bani Israel, azkuru ni'mati allati anamtu alaykum wa awfu bi ahdi, ufi bi ahdikum wa iyaya farhabun. O children of Israel, which is Yaqub alayhi salam, remember my blessings upon you that I had blessed you with, and fulfill the promise that you made with me, and I will fulfill my promise. So, ayah number 40 until now, we are now ayah number 58. And in this ayah, there is the eighth blessing. Now you would notice that in previous ayahs, there were blessings like وَظَلَّلْنَا عَلَيْكُمُ الْغَمَامَ وَالْأَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَنَّ وَالسَّلْوَى, that we had the cloud shading over you, and we sent down manna and salwa for you to eat from. And likewise, in the previous ayahs, we had other blessings mentioned. Whereas in this one, the blessing of the Karya that was given to them, this is the eighth blessing that is mentioned here. Now, the context, I sent you that timeline of the Jewish history. It is very important for us to gain clarity about the sequential time that is present here, so that we understand it with some degree of clarity, that these are real events in real serial time at a certain date, at a certain time happening. This is during the life of Musa alayhi salam. And therefore, for us to have clarity, it is essential that we know the timeline of the Jewish history, because the Jews are a very special people in both senses, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala singled them out from all humankind at a certain time, and He established a very special covenant with them. And at the same time, they are an example of breaking of the covenant, and they are example uh, of transgressions. They are continuously up until today. They are breaking the covenant. They are creating all kinds of other facade on earth. And at the time of the revelation of the Quran, they already had a history, a long history, which had gone through. And now, after 1400 years, that history has added more to it. But none of what they have added to their own history is outside what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already told us in the Quran. So one of the questions that was asked recently from the class was, so what is the problem with them? Why are they doing all of these things? What is the main issue? Why are they continuously causing trouble on this earth and for themselves, and why are they breaking? The history of the Jews needs to be understood in the context of the Quranic concept of history, as we mentioned before. When they started out at the time of Sayyidina Yaqub alayhi salam and Yusuf alayhi salam, there is already in the making of this community certain fundamental issues, like the 12 brothers and Yusuf alayhi salam. So the Surah Yusuf has a beautiful description of what was happening at that time. And these children are children of Yaqub alayhi salam through these 12 brothers. So there are some distortions in their psyche, in their build, in their nature right at that time. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses them with Egypt. Now, Egypt at that time, like, as we mentioned before, Pharaoh is the title of the kings of Egypt, and pharaohs have been coming and going. So the Pharaoh at the time of Yusuf alayhi salam honored Yusuf alayhi salam through Aziz. Aziz was not the Firaun, but Aziz honored him, and then he brought his family there, and they started to flourish. The time between their flourishing and between the appearance of a Pharaoh who started to fear that these strangers who are not Egyptians have gained too much influence, too much wealth, too much power, that he started to fear that they will take over his country. So in the reference that I sent you, and also elsewhere, you can find that sequential history from the coming of children of Israel, coming of children of Yaqub alayhi salam to Egypt, to the time of Musa alayhi salam. The Quran does not go into the details of that time in any great length. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only chooses from human history what he chooses for a certain purpose, which is to guide humanity. He does not go into the nitty-gritty and the details of certain things, whereas there are other events which are present to the nth degree, detail to the nth degree. So both are present in the Quran. Events which have details and the events which do not have details, and both have a purpose. So in this particular situation where we have a history preceding a prophet, a long history of people preceding a prophet, this is a very unique situation in the entire chronicle history of the Quran, that we are presented with a qawm, a people who are responding to a messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a very with a history of prophets among them, like from Yaqub alayhi salam onward. So Musa alayhi salam is not new to them as far as prophets are concerned. Just like, unlike the Quraysh, unlike the coming of the Prophet ﷺ to a people who had not received a prophet directly. This is a very major distinction. But the children of Bani Israel in Egypt had gone through phases of prosperity, of wealth and power, and then this other phase started where they were persecuted, where their boys were being killed, where they became enslaved, where they became laborers, where their collective consciousness was damaged. So one of the reasons, one of the explanations that I think is Imam Kosheri, who offered this explanation, that because of the long period of enslavement, their psyche, their inner self estimation had been damaged. So they became distorted, and they lost sight of their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of the circumstances in which they lived and their generations lived. So the answer, this is the long answer to the question that was asked, why are they doing these things? One of the reasons that people behave as they behave is the circumstances in which they live. The environment in which a person is living has deep psychological, spiritual, physical impact on that individual or on that collective qawm. The entire nation, I don't like to use the word nation for qawm, but entire qawm can have a distorted self image. This is a very important area for us to understand the Quranic worldview of individuals and qawms, individuals and collective characteristics. So each place has a that has a certain culture, has a certain way of being, has a every people have some kind of mannerism that you can identify in them. Like if you go to a new place that has remained relatively isolated for a while, you will see that the entire place is molded on a certain pattern, and that comes from habitation of a land, of a place for a long period of time. People become solidified in their ways. So if you go into the and these things keep changing as well. They are not stationary. Like if we had been blessed to be among the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, you would see that the Mecca of that time had a certain character, Medina of the time had a certain character. There were common beliefs and practices in both places as they are everywhere. Now things have broken up to a large extent, but at that time, even recently, everything had a pattern. Like marriages happened through a certain pattern, trade happened through a certain pattern, relationships were formed on a certain basis, and like we have graphic details of the social conditions of Medina, for example, at that time, and Makkah as well, and other places. So this particular aspect of the psyche of children of Israel is very important for us to know, because there is a distortion in their constitution that happened through repeated transgressions. And this is something that their own history testifies. If you, by own history, I mean history written by their own scholars. So they have this very strange and unique history of repeated ups and downs. Like they have been persecuted in various places in the world, they have been killed in certain places in the world, and they have been flourishing in other places, and they have caused so much misery for themselves and for other human beings who come in contact with them. Even to a prophet of the stature of Musa alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam, who is also a prophet who was sent to them. So there is no such thing as Christianity independent of children of Israel. Like they are the one people. A continuity of prophets came to these people, and they did terrible things, including what they did to Musa alayhi salam and to Isa alayhi salam. And this account of Aizkulna dakhulu hazihil Qarya, and when we said, we commanded them, we told them to enter this Qarya. This is one episode in their history. And remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took them out from Egypt through a miracle that to this day remains a unique event in human history. Like this is attested by every believer on this earth, that this happened. And this extraordinary, this unimaginable event in which in one day their fortunes transformed from being slaves, oppressed, to coming out through a miracle that everybody saw. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it so that they are even carrying the jewelry of the Copts. Like they had borrowed the jewelry the day before, and now they have this jewelry that in itself becomes a test for them in the form of the golden calf that Samri was going to make. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took them out from Egypt. He showed them the path, and he, in return, instead of being grateful, as soon as they first came across a people on the other side of the after their rescue, they saw people worshipping idols, and they asked Musa alayhi salam to make idols like these idols for them. And they did other things, but then um, they arrived at the outskirts of a town, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked them to enter the gates of this town sujjadan. So now we can concentrate on this particular ayah. I hope the context is now clear. So this is the eighth blessing in the series of blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning after manna and salwa and the clouds and everything. And is kulna dkhulu hazihil kariya. Enter this kariya in a state of sajda. Notice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not specify the name of the Qariya. And this is in accordance with how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presents human history to us. It is generalized instead of specialized, and it it provides us with what is really essential in the account. And in this case, the Qariya is not really important, which city, which town, although there are different opinions about it, which help us uh, to position them on this earth. But it really is not important for understanding what is being said. What is being said is that there is a command to them to enter the Qariya in a certain state. So Qariya is a city and it is also uh, a place of like the word Qariya, Qariyatul Ma fil Hawd. Yani Qariya is to Qariya is used for a gathering. A gathering is called Qariya. So Qariyatul Ma is the gathering of water. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked them to enter the Qariya and eat from it from wherever they want. Ragadan. Ragadan is both in abundance and in extension, meaning all kinds of food was given to them. And then the word is وَدْخُلُوا الْبَابَ سُجَّدًا. Sujjada. So we do sajda, right? So sujjada. Can you imagine entering a gate of a city in a state of sajda? So there are different opinions about it because practically speaking, if you are doing sajda, it would be difficult to walk through the door. So what is being said is a state of khudu, a state of inner repentance and closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a state of humility, a state of recognition of the blessings, which is manifested outwardly in either a sajda or a ruku. So there are both opinions that this means that the door they were asked to enter uh, in a state, and as an expression of that inner humility, their heads would bow down either to ruku position, or it would be an inner state. So because the expressions of the body, of the face, of our whole being are a reflection of the inner reality of our inner station of our being. And they are asked to enter in that state of recognition of the great blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving them. And this place, which there's a difference of opinion about the Qariya, but the Qariya here, which Qariya is that? But again, that is not important. The important thing is the command being given. So if it was Al-Quds, or another town close to Al-Quds, that is something that can be, scholars have said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also tells them to udkhulul ard al-muqaddas allati kataba Allahu lakum, enter the earth which has been which Allah has written for you. Or it was Ariha, which is another town close to Al-Quds. So, there are different opinions. But they were also asked to say, Wakulu Hitta. This is a very important word for us to understand, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses a word that is very specific to this state of entrance. And there are different opinions about the meaning of hitta. And the Makshari says that this is from ha and ta, just like jalasa and rakaba. And it means the dua to drop all their sins. So hitta anna zunubana, when hitta is when something is basically thrown off, or taken off or erased. There are various opinions about the meaning of hitta and where the word came from, but all of them are in reference to a state of humility, recognition of the blessings, and seeking forgiveness. This is very specific word, and there is a hadith in Sahih Bukhari which actually gives us, and also in Sahih Muslim, that gives us more insight into the psychological makeup of these people at that time, and also the command that they were given to Allah by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all the discussion here is in reference to what they did to this command. Because if you look at the ayah, it says, فَبَدَّلَ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا قَوْلًا غَيْرَ الَّذِي قِيلَ لَهُمْ. So those who did zulm upon themselves, they changed the qawl, they changed the saying to something else. And what they changed is not mentioned in the Quran, but it is in both Sahihs, Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. And what they did was they changed it to hinta fishar. Instead of hitta, they added a noon, and that means red wheat. So what they did was they mocked this command. They changed it to something to make a joke out of it. And therefore, from this incident, then it is derived that it is not permissible to change the wording which has come in the Quran or in the Sunnah. Like we cannot change the wordings of a dua or a command. It needs to be kept in the way it has been transmitted through the Prophet ﷺ's hadith or as it has come in the Quran itself. So they were told one specific word to say and they changed it. Tanazidul Muhsinin is also important because Muhsinin, like Muminin, Muttaqeen, these are all the Quranic terms which we need to make our own because these are specific kinds of believers. Like Muttaqeen are believers who have taqwa, Muhsinin are people who have ihsan. Muhsinin. So people of ihsan are Muhsinin. Ihsan is seeing Allah, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if He is seeing us. فَبَدَّلَ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا قَوْلًا غَيْرَ الَّذِي قِيلَ لَهُمْ فَأَنزَلْنَا عَلَى الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا رِجْزًا مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ بِمَا كَانُوا يَفْسُقُونَ. So those فَبَدَّلَ الَّذِينَ, they changed the kalima, they changed what was said to them. We already said that they changed it to something else, although there are different words to which they change, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran only tells us that they changed it to something else. So فَأَنزَلْنَا عَلَى الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا رِجْزًا. What is rijz? Rijz is a grave punishment. Rijz, Ra, Jim, and Seen, Rijz, Ra, Jim, and Seen is something which smells bad. Rijz, Ra, Jim, and Za is is severe punishment. Is this clear? Because of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them a grave punishment. You will notice that once again, we do not have the details of the punishment here. But we have this very clear picture of these people, even in this state of being blessed, they are bimakanu yafsukun. Fasaka, yafsukun is very important in reference to the children of Israel. This is built into their psyche. Fasaka, yafsukun is the coming out of something from something else. So in the Sharia, it is the coming out of the bounds of Sharia. So this ayah here is a very subtle graphic of the psyche of the children of Israel, because even when a blessed land is being given to them, in that state they create this facade by changing the word and mocking the commands which was given to them. Now, if you look at Surah Al-Araf, ayah number 161 and 62, وَإِذْ قِيلَ لَهُمُ اسْكُنُوا هَٰذِهِ الْقَرْيَةَ وَكُلُوا مِنْهَا حَيْثُ شِئْتُمْ وَقُولُوا حِطَّةٌ وَادْخُلُوا الْبَابَ سُجَّدًا نَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ناتكم سنزيد المحسنين فبدل الذين ظلموا منهم قولا غير الذي قيل لهم فأرسلنا عليهم الرجز من السماء بما كانوا يظلمون. It is almost an identical description of the same event. So there are subtle differences in the two ayahs, but they refer to the same. In Surah Al-Baqarah, we have وَإِذْ قُلْنَا, and in Surah Al-Araf, وَإِذْ قِيلَ لَهُمْ, when it was said to them. So the difference is وَإِذْ قُلْنَا here in this Surah Al-Baqarah is a direct reference to the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the pronoun here refers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in Surah Al-Araf, وَإِذْ قِيلَ لَهُمْ, when it was said to them. So once Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it in direct, and then second time in the passive form. And there are subtle connections of this change, because in this Surah Al-Araf we have وَإِذْ قِيلَ لَهُمُ اسْكُنُوا هَٰذِهِ الْقَرْيَةَ, live in this city, be in this city. And in Surah Al-Baqarah we have enter this city. So there is a difference between the two. And the third difference is that in Baqarah we have fa'kulu, but in Araf we have wa'kulu. So the fa and wa And there are, Imam Razi just goes on and on with these differences, pointing out subtle increase in meaning in the two descriptions, although they both refer to the same event. Are there any questions? وإذ استسقى موسى لقومه فقل نضرب بعصاك الحجر فانفجرت منه اثنتا عشرة عينا قد علم كل ناس مشربهم كلوا واشربوا من رزق الله ولا تعثوا في الأرض مفسدين. This again is the ninth blessing in the series of blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning. And one more time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not use serial time for narration of events in the Quran. So here again, we don't have serial connections, but because the blessings are being mentioned, this is added to that blessing. So this is during the state of their wandering, and when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was sending manna and salwa from the sky, and they didn't have water. وَإِذِ اسْتَسْقَى مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ. So they went to Musa alayhi salam and they said, okay, we have manna and salwa coming down, but where is the water? We want water. So Musa alayhi salam supplicated for his people, and then he was told, فَقُلْ نَدْرِبْ بِعَصَاكَ الْحَجَرِ. Hit the stone or the rock with your asa. فَانْفَجَرَتْ مِنْهُ اثْنَتَ عَشَرَةَ عَيْنًا. 12 streams came out of that rock. And remember, there are 12 tribes from the 12 sons. So each one had their own stream. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Kulu washrabu min rizqillahi wa la ta'thaw fil ardi mufsideen. Eat and drink from what Allah has given you, and do not create fasad on earth. Now the asa of Musa alayhi salam is a symbol, is a physical thing in itself, and it is something that reverberates throughout Islamic history in the form of literature and poetry and imagery. Asa of Musa alayhi salam is something that opens roads and paths, and there are beautiful couplets about it. This is the asa that can take people out of difficulties. This is the asa that brings blessings. This is the asa that protects people from all kinds of things. This is the asa that is a symbol of special stature and station of Musa alayhi salam. This is the asa that is used in Yani look at this encounter of Musa alayhi salam with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks him, what is in your hand? that section is so beautiful. If you read the details of that section, Musa alayhi salam prolongs his talk by telling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what he does with his asa. He gathers leaves for his flock. He starts to tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala these details, like a and you see this beauty of this loving conversation, and full of love, this conversation, this that Musa alayhi salam had with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this asa, there are various opinions about it, that uh, this was a special tree. This was something that came down from Jannah. This had two branches. It could make darkness into light. This is the asa which became that ajdaha, which became that snake. It is the asa um, that had this special divine blessings on this piece of wood, that it provided Musa alayhi salam with protection and support. So he is now commanded to hit this rock, the stone, and 12 springs came out. This is one of the miracles given to Musa alayhi salam. And within this event, there is also the veiling of the divine manifestation in this dunya, meaning there was no need for Musa alayhi salam to use his asa and hit the stone for the 12 springs to gush out of this rock, had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed so. But because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put a veil on his zuhur, on his manifestation in this dunya, everything we see in the Quran, we see it through a cause and effect. Although those causes are not, cannot be understood as cause and effect in this alimul wajud, alimul shahud. These are like if it was just any kind of asa, any kind of piece of wood, any kind of stone, no matter how many times you hit it, nothing would happen. The springs, the 12 gushing springs came out, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put a veil upon the manifestations in order for us to be able to witness the shuhud, the manifestation itself. Because when Musa alayhi salam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show himself, remember what happened to the mountain when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just put his tajalli on the mountain? It could not bear even the tajalli, not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. So this is these are the outward expressions of an inner reality that can only be understood if we understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a way of expression of manifestation that is veiled. There is a question in the chat about the Asa. What happened to it when Musa alayhi salam died? What happened to it when he died? There is a history of that Asa, and which is connected with the blessings which were coming to the children of Israel. And then when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided that they are not going to go to the city, they're not going to go to Al-Quds for 40 years. And then Musa alayhi salam and every single Yehudi, every single child, everyone that constituted his Qawm, they were wandering in the desert. And that's where Musa alayhi salam died. And that's where the Asa was left. Now, when Musa alayhi salam dies, these people are then left with nothing in the desert, all the blessings which were there, the manna and salwa and everything that was happening at the time of Musa alayhi salam. There is a very beautiful parallel between this and with the Pharaoh. Remember when the Pharaoh had all these difficulties, they would rush to Musa alayhi salam and ask him to make dua for rain and dua for removal of this or that punishment that was coming, and they would promise that they will behave after this difficulty is removed through the supplication of Musa alayhi salam, and then they'll go back to it. Likewise, here is a calm with their prophet alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam, and they are continuously asking for blessings and continuously doing transgressions. So we will inshallah come to more specific details because these are not in the Quran and Hadith about the not only just the Asa but everything else that was left behind by Musa alayhi salam. So when we come to the section where after his death, Bani Israel are actually taken by Yeshua, we will inshallah go say something about how this asa and the remains, his clothing and other things which Musa alayhi salam left. Both Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam, they both died during these years. What did Bani Israel and what did they do uh, with the alwah, with the tablets which were given to them? And because these symbols of divine blessings and also commands which they had constitute a huge part of Jewish history. So they were conscious of the importance of the Asa, the importance of this. See, these are the people who are given these written, they're given a written text of the Torah. And they lost it. They lost everything. Are there any other questions? This ayah ends with the wala ta'thaw wala ta'thaw fil ardi mufsideen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is continuously telling them, don't do fasad, don't do fisk, don't do transgressions. With every blessing, there is this. So inshallah, next time we are going to begin with ayah number 61. وَإِذْ قُلْتُمْ يَا مُوسَى لَن نَّصْبِرَ عَلَى طَعَامٍ وَاحِدٍ فَادْعُ لَنَا رَبَّكَ يُخْرِجْ لَنَا مِمَّا تُنبِتُ الْأَرْضُ مِن بَقْلِهَا وَكِثَّائِهَا وَفُومِهَا وَعَدَسِهَا وَبَصَلِهَا. So they are going to ask Musa alayhi salam one more time that we are not going to remain on just one food. So make supplication for us so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us those things which come out of this earth. And they specifically name certain things. And there was a question which I had not answered because this is the ayah where this question. So the question was that what if we have the same kind of desire to eat different food? Like if we just have one food all the time and we think of it that, yeah, I want to have a different kind of food today. I have been eating the same food for so many days. Today I want to have different food, or from every day I want to have different food. So is this a sin? Is this following the Jews? Is this following the Bani Israel? They said that we are not going to be patient with just one kind of food. So the question was and is this a desire that we should not have? At least we have one question for the next time, inshallah. If you have any other questions, please send them. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار يا كريم. يا الله أنت حليم كريم عظيم تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. يا شافي اشفنا اشفي صدورنا وقلوبنا من كل داء يا أرحم الراحمين. Make special dua today for our brothers and sisters in Gaza. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them relief. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them special blessings from His special blessings. They are being oppressed in a way that has seldom been seen on this earth. Every day our hearts are broken, Ya Allah. Forgive us, Ya Kareem. Forgive us, Ya Rabbul Alameen. Ya Allah, protect our brothers and sisters in this oppressed land. Ya Rabbul Alameen, show us your mercy and show to these people your wrath. Ya Allah, take them to account, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين يا كريم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.